We've reached the halfway point of the school year, and it's incredible to see how much we've accomplished together in 2024. We officially opened 2 new elementary schools this fall, expanded bond-funded renovation efforts across the district, increased opportunities for students, and celebrated outstanding student accomplishments. Before we continue into the new year, I'd like to take a moment to reflect on some of the standout moments from the 2024-25 school year so far. Rangeview Elementary Principal Hattie Fritsch was chosen as the Town of Severn's 2024 Citizen of the Year, and Severance High School senior Kyson McAvoy was named as Severance Youth of the Year. Congratulations to these two for making an impact on our community. At the end of October, members from both of our high schools represented our district at the FFA National Convention. Windsor High School's horse team placed gold, and their floriculture and vet science team placed silver, while Severance High's Martha Simpson became a national semifinalist Creed speaker. Way to make us proud. This year, the College Board recognized 17 Severance High School students for their exceptional grades and test scores. To be considered for this award, students must have maintained a B+ GPA and scored among the top 10% PSAT takers. Way to go, Silver Knights! At Windsor High School, senior Leah Gilmore was selected as one of 13 students to perform the all-state musical main stage performance of Magic to Do from Pippin at ThesCon this December. In November, 8 students qualified for the 2025 All-State Jazz Choir and will perform at the Colorado Music Educators Convention in January. That means Windsor has more students representing our school than any other school in Colorado. And earlier this year, Junior Grady Agone was recognized by the Photographic Society of America for 2 of his photos. Those are some talented wizards. Congratulations to the 6 Severance Middle School students who auditioned and earned a spot in the Combined League Middle School Honor Band this year. And a special shout out to Day Smith, the first 7th grader from her school to be selected for the Colorado Middle School All-State Choir. I'd like to thank the Professional Golfers Association for awarding Orchard Hill and Grandview Elementaries the Colorado PGA in Schools grant. This grant made it possible to provide a golf unit and introduce young learners to a lifelong sport. In early November, students were able to test their new skills at the Mountain Vista Golf Course. Once again, I am amazed, though not surprised, by the achievements our students and staff continue to make each year. Our district's diverse talents, ranging from academics, athletics, extracurriculars, and the arts, are constantly on display and showcase the dedication and excellence we value. Keep it up, Weld RE-4. I can't wait to see what spring has in store. A year ago, COO Mike McCullar joined me for a special mid-year edition of the Superintendent Spotlight to provide an update on our bond projects, and I am excited to sit down with him once again to share the progress we have made in 2024. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you for having me.
Mike, can you talk a little bit about what projects that have been completed already?
The 2 biggest projects would be the elementaries, Hollister Lake and Orchard Hill. We've also completed the Windsor High School turf replacement. In addition to that, we had project savings, so we were able to build a new stadium fence as well as a new entry. And we finished a few mechanical projects around the district as well.
We are very fortunate to have a healthy contingency fund due to project cost savings, premium, and interest. We are required by law to use those funds in a defined time period, and we are required by law to use the funds on capital projects. What is our process for allocating these funds?
So one of the important pieces to running the bond is making sure that we have transparency and accountability to the community that gave us the funds to do these projects. And so that's commonly done through a bond oversight committee. One of the primary roles is to actually help prioritize any money that might be available on additional projects. And over the last 1.5 to 2 years, we've been meeting on a quarterly basis, and the group receives bond updates. And they'll actually come to the next board meeting and make a recommendation to our board of directors, who then votes to accept that or not. And so there's a very structured process in order to expend those funds.
I think it's great that we have that transparency and that community input. Mike, I know we were able to do some additional projects with some of that bond interest money. Can you talk about that?
We really looked at all of our core infrastructure projects and said, let's get those addressed first. And so roofing and mechanical, we're working on a project to specify and apply security film throughout the district to all of our campuses. Since Severance High School is getting a new culinary lab, we'll be moving the culinary modular from Severance High School over to Windsor High School for them to use now. We're working on renovating the existing wood shop / ag shop at Severance High School into a dedicated construction trades lab. We're working on adding some additional playground equipment to our Tozer playground, more accessible. I mentioned earlier we've done the Windsor High School stadium fence and entryway. And probably the two biggest projects we're going to see from the additional funds that were approved by the bond oversight are the Windsor Middle School modernization and the district office expansion.
Can you tell me how they got to that decision?
The last renovation to that office was done in the early 2000s, and we've obviously have outgrown. We have multiple, 3, sometimes 4 people in an office, went to the bond oversight with our immediate needs plus a little bit of growth, and they came back and said, no, if you're going to do this, we want you to do it right, and we want you to build enough capacity for the foreseeable future. And so went back to the drawing board and created a plan that should get us down the road quite a bit with the growth in our district and all the support that happens out of this office. All of our itinerant staff that come in and out, of the leadership, as well as some our key instructional staff in that office.
It's a great opportunity for us because usually district offices don't receive any bond money on an actual bond, so it's been a blessing and be great for our future as well. So I recently joined a Windsor Middle School Modernization Committee member, and she talked to us about how the process went with the committee. Can you talk a little bit about that, Mike?
We recognize this as a project that was very important to the Weld RE-4 community. The building that we were talking about has a lot of history. Before we started making decisions on what we would or would not be doing with that campus, we wanted to involve a committee. Similar process to the bond oversight, we put out an application process to the community. Started out with 27, and I think we ended up with about 24 consistently at the meeting. Went through 5 meetings with the committee. They also heard the results of the instructional leadership team meeting with the architects, as well as the student council at Windsor Middle School.
I love that you brought the student council in, because those are our clients, those are our kids.
Yeah. We had a community feedback session in November where we invited the community to come in and tour what the committee had been working on. And then the committee actually made a recommendation to the board of what to do with Windsor Middle School, and fortunately the board affirmed and appreciated the work that they had done.
Great teamwork, and we have so many wonderful community members that have stepped up, and we are so thankful for them. We have got a new middle school going up, Ridgeline Middle School, and it's just a wonderful building. Josh Malakot is our new principal out there, and he's doing a great job getting ready for our kids to come, and we are very excited to provide this opportunity. Can you talk a little bit about the projects out at Ridgeline?
It's going to have a full complement of gyms, classrooms, collaboration spaces, as well as multi-purpose fields. Right now we're under budget and actually trending ahead of schedule. So.
2 things I love to hear, Mike: under budget and on schedule.
Right. This fall we'll be opening up a 900 capacity Severance Middle School with a second gym. In addition, we're renovating the cafeteria space to provide for some more capacity during lunches. We're building that bridge to connect all the classroom pods together. Yeah. And so you don't have to walk through a pod to get to the next. So
here at Severance High School, they're also doing some additional classrooms. Can you talk about that?
Similar to Severance Middle, this school was originally constructed for 800 capacity, but master planned for a 1,200 capacity school. So what we're doing is adding on the additional wing. And in addition to those classrooms, like I mentioned before, we'll have science labs, we'll have a ProStart kitchen, a food and consumer science kitchen, a design lab.
And speaking of that CTE center, we're sitting in the greenhouse right now.
2,800 square foot greenhouse here in Severance. We've got a couple classrooms in this building. We've got an agricultural mechanics lab with its own welding component. Just next to that, we've got a full welding shop. And then just east of that, we've got a diesel mechanics lab. We want to have the opportunity to get the furniture and all the equipment in, let our staff learn the building before we overload them with students in the middle of the year. So we anticipate a full startup in August of 2025.
Exciting new schools and new programs for our kids. I'd like to thank Mike, our construction and design teams, our committee volunteers, the Board of Education, and of course you, our amazing taxpayers, for making these much needed improvements possible. For more information on these projects, visit bond.weldre4.org or join our monthly Board of Education meetings, which are recorded and accessible at weldre4.org. And follow us on Facebook and Instagram, or look out for quarterly bond update newsletters to get the latest and greatest on the 22 bond. Thanks for watching. We look forward to keeping you updated, and we'll see you next time. I'm Michelle Scallon, Superintendent of Weld RE-4, and today we have a very, very special show. We have the honor of having 3 past superintendents join us here today. Today joining us is Dr. Jim Raine, and he was superintendent from 1984 to 93. Mr. Brian Lessman on the end, 93 to 05, and Ms. Karen Trusler, 06 to 15. Today we are missing Dan Segmiller, who is our superintendent from 15 to 21, and Dan is living in Nashville, Tennessee with his family. So we miss Dan today, but we're glad to have our 3 local superintendents with us. Jim, can you start and tell us a little bit about some of the things you may have faced?
The most difficult thing that I faced while in Gunnison, we had a tragic bus accident. 9 students and a coach lost their lives that day. And that was a very difficult time for the community.
Right. And sometimes being the superintendent, we don't learn that in superintendent schools. And some of those things are just life lessons, and yeah, tough to get through. How about you, Brian?
Typically, I think through all of our superintendencies, we were one of the lowest funded school districts, at least in base funding in Colorado. But you had to have very high expectations for the school itself. And probably one of the biggest challenges for me during those times was you always assume that tax base is stable and you're always going to get the taxes that you're entitled to. That's not always the case.
I would echo budget constraints and also student growth.
Yeah.
But the third one, biggest challenge for me, was May 22nd, 2008, at 11:40, when I received a call from Chief Michaels that said, hey, you have 9 to 11 minutes to get your students in place because of the tornado. And recklessly, we got everybody sheltered in place. It was in a time of crisis where the community came together.
I remember that tornado well. It took our home, and my son was in high school at the time too, and you navigated through that beautifully, Karen. So on the flip side, what was the most rewarding part of you being superintendent in Weld RE-4?
I loved graduation day, where I could see students walk across the stage and see the beauty and the excitement in the audience of their parents, their grandparents.
I was happy when we would hear that kids who graduated went on to either good scholarships to good schools. And the other thing, I think I was really gratified to see that staff members that we had would move on and do better things. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right there you grew your pipeline, right?
It's wanting to have a legacy for the district, and that's in students, seeing them be successful, and hiring the right people and knowing that they're the ones who get the credit and get the job done. And so you see that legacy over time and people's success and moving forward, and that's really what it's all about.
15 years ago, there were about 4,000 students in Weld RE-4. Today, we have over 8,500 students and over 1,000 staff members. Are there any memorable moments or stories that capture what it was like to guide our community through that kind of growth?
What really made the impact for parents was when they were in a classroom over 25 students and there was no place else to add a classroom. And so that helped with the understanding. The other part would be working with the business community and understanding, whether it was through the chamber or through service organizations, having that partnership, because they invest heavily into education through their taxes. And being able to see that a strong education makes a strong business community too.
Well, and I think growth is one of those things that they don't always prepare you for in superintendent school either. I mean, because you're thinking literally years ahead, because while your schools are immediately full and you can see that need, you begin to think about things like, do we have enough water acquired to be able to deal with the non-potable needs of the school district? Do we have land acquired down the road that we may not need for 10 years, but we need to begin that process? And so there's a lot of long-term thinking and preparation into that. And then, of course, there's the huge issue of convincing the public that you need to do that.
What do you feel was your greatest contribution to Weld RE-4?
The board and I worked hard as to how we could increase funding or gain more funding in a non-traditional way. And so this gave my board presidents momentum to sit down with me and say we need a foundation. And we're strong. That way, that's an additional sort of funding.
And they have done so many good things. They've just given thousands and thousands of dollars to our classrooms. Back
in the day, Windsor wasn't a place to have a large public library. So I met with the city manager and the mayor and our board president, and I suggested that we form a school district's library or a library district. And all it took was a motion on the part of either entity to do that. So we formed the library district that serves all the kids in our area.
Thank you for getting that going. I did not know that.
I think we went through a time where funding was very short, and within that, we tried to be as transparent as we possibly could. You know, your budgets are kind of like a three-legged stool. One of those is class size. You know, the other is salaries and benefits, and the third one is special programs. You can't possibly fund all of them like you would want to fund them. So how do you keep it in balance through a transparent, decision-making process?
Thank you. And that continues to be our work today. What advice would you give me as a superintendent?
Any leader of a public school system today has to be 100% focused on kids. And so keep it up.
Thank you.
There is much more polarity in your seat than there was probably in any of ours. I would just say continue to do the right thing no matter what.
Thanks, Brian.
I would say continue to follow that moral compass that guides you. Take care of your people and go see those kids and have some fun.
It makes me emotional. I'm a crier. To think that your work that you did got us to where we are today. I just appreciate all you've done, and I know our community members do too. So great day today with 3 wonderful superintendents who have just built a legacy for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.